Welcome to the Whiskey Explorer. Thanks so much for tuning in for another episode, guys. And tonight I am super excited to bring you a fantastic Canadian whiskey. Tonight, guys, we are drinking and reviewing Dark Cloud Whisky from Hansen Distillery. Alright guys, as I said, the whiskey name is Dark Cloud Whisky. This is a collaboration between Sean from PWS Imports and Hansen Distillery in Edmonton, Alberta. So these guys are actually doing some fantastic Canadian whiskey expressions. They are really truly bringing a sensibility to Canadian whiskey that I haven't seen from the other big brands like Canadian Club or Wiser's. Not to say there's anything wrong with those brands whatsoever. It's just that these guys at Hansen, they're bringing a little bit more care, attention, craft, precision, maybe passion to what they're actually barreling and bottling. And what we've got here is a blended whiskey. So that's what they actually wanted to collaborate on and bring out, was a Canadian whiskey that was blended. But they're bringing us a fantastic proof point here. Unlike most of the Canadian whiskey that we get that's kind of mass marketed, that's at 40%. We're lucky even if we see like something from Shelter Point, which is a single malt distillery, and they are fantastic because they're doing at least 46% on their whiskeys, and they always do the good stuff that we like in kind of an integrity bottling. So there's always non-chill filtering and, no color added to those Shelter Point expressions. That being said, this comes in at a whopping 120 proof or 60% ABV. And with that, you get the power-packed flavor of this whiskey. It's full-bodied. It's absolutely one of the most interesting whiskeys I've tried this year, so I can't wait to get into it with you guys. What else to tell you about this? I do know that it's approximately 5 years old. This kind of on the back label talks about the friendship between the master distiller of Hansen Distillery and our friend Sean. And his nickname and his moniker, by the way, is Dark Cloud. So Dark Cloud Whisky is the appropriate name. So if you'd like to find him on Instagram, you can give him a follow. It's Dark Cloud Whisky on Instagram. All right, so this one right here is 750 milliliters, so that's great. And we've got the master distiller there and then the master blender. They've signed the bottle here. Of course, it's not hand done, but they've got a really cool looking label here, and I'll show you guys more of that in the B-roll. The most fantastic news about this is that it is still available. And guys, if you are in Canada, I highly, highly recommend you go online to Hansen Distillery and you grab yourself not one of these, grab two. That's what I did, untasted, because I knew this was going to be an absolute hitter that I wanted to buy and back up. All right, so without further ado, let's get to the whiskey itself, guys. So here we go. Very nice, beautiful, rich color in the glass. We're looking at a nice kind of dark mahogany color. Definitely very rich and inviting in color. Looks absolutely fantastic. This right here is a single grain whiskey as well, so we know that it is bottled in one distillery, which is the Hansen Distillery, and that it's all whiskeys that are made in-house and blended together at the distillery. So nothing sourced here. This is all created by Hansen and masterfully blended and kind of put together by the master distiller, the master blender at Hansen, as well as Sean from PWS Imports. Let's get into a nose on this very interesting whiskey. Cheers. Okay. So right off the bat, I'm getting almost like a strawberry or raspberry or kind of cherry, deep, dark, kind of rich fruit note. And there's also a really nice sort of the immediate smell I got even before that. And I was trying to kind of put my, pin that down and try to figure out what that flavor or that sort of aroma or essence was. And I think what I got to go with here is like a cotton candy. There's like a beautiful, sweet candy note to this. Just beautiful. And then there's like rich plums. dark fruits, stewed down dark fruits. So like maybe it's like a medley of some different fruits in there. I'm getting like blueberry, blackberry, raspberry, cherry, plum, all kind of cooked down, and it's got that really nice kind of textural, jammy aroma to it. It's fantastic. And then I also get a little bit of this funky note in here, and I'm gonna say this is really super cool for me. So one of my favorite kind of newfound whiskeys that I love to enjoy, or bourbons that I love to enjoy, is Rowan's Creek from Willett Distillery, as well as Noah's Mill. They both have this kind of funky sort of like leather-bound book, or like an old library type of musty, dusty funk to them. This has that funk in spades, and it's so nice. It's like just the perfect amount of like funkiness mixed in with that kind of sweet, inviting fruit note, the rich, deep, dark, cooked down fruits, as well as there's a little bit of something in the back here, and I'm going to call that leather. So there's a nice kind of leathery tobacco almost note to this on the nose as well. Super, super complex nose, super inviting. Can't wait to get into this one, guys. Got a little bit of spice on the back end of the nose. Let's get into the palate. On the palate, cheers. Wow. This is so densely packed with flavor. Absolute flavor bomb. There's so much. It's like almost like a concentrated like whiskey syrup. Absolutely fully mouth coating. Absolutely love that aspect to it. Nice high proof. Gives you a bit of a Kentucky hug going down. Then we've got beautiful, just absolutely stunning rye notes here. So I've got the rye bread and the rye grain. But what comes with that is this beautiful, rich, fruity note. So I'm not quite sure. I can't quite peg down what type of fruit it is, but it's somewhere like a mix between a blackberry, dark plum, and like a cherry note. That all kind of melds together. Fully mouth coating. Beautiful kind of vanilla coming into the middle. And then there's like a lot of barrel influence. Like so I can almost, it's like you like took like a barrel stave, like a charred barrel stave, and you suck the whiskey out of it. It's that level of char, and it's just so nice on the mid palate. That actually translates right into the finish. So when you're moving and transitioning into the finish on this whiskey, it's more so barrel spice. So it's like, but it's also got the sweet kind of rye note and lingering rye characteristic to it. So it's like charred wood mixed with the nice kind of like a fruity, not as much of like a herbaceous or a spearmint type of rye note. This is more like that really nice, rich kind of fruity, cooked down fruits rye note. Absolutely fantastic. I'd call this a medium to long finish on here. It gives you that full experience, and then it leaves a little bit hanging on with that spiciness from the barrel char. Fantastic stuff. I got to go in for a second sip here, guys. Now that my palate's acclimated, we're talking 120 proof or 60% ABV. This will run you about, I think it was about $85 to $100 somewhere in there. And for craft Canadian whiskey at that proof point that tastes this good, you feel like it's a steal of a deal. I'm telling you guys, this is fantastic stuff. On the palate, let's go for the second sip. Cheers. Fantastic. Rich, bright, fruity, spicy rye notes at the front of the palate. Fully mouth coating. A little bit of a Kentucky hug going down. Warming. Honey, brown sugar, a hint of nutmeg in the background. So complex, so interesting. By far one of the most interesting whiskeys I've tried this year. This is probably taking the spot of my favorite Canadian whiskey at this point. Guys, if you can still and you're in Canada, you can get this shipped out to you. Go grab a bottle of this. You won't regret it. If you don't like it, send it to me. All right, guys. That'll wrap up this review of the Dark Cloud Whiskey. Till the next time, guys, may your sails be full and your drams be fuller. Cheers.